Here we are in episode 68 of the Simple Success Podcast. And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
Freedom is happiness. I guess so. Care to elaborate? I mean coaching happiness. Coaching happiness.
When you change you change everything.
From whence cometh thy freedom, DT? It comes from the IRS. For the rest of the year, I'm working for myself. I'm free at last. All my taxes for this year are paid.
Break number 1.
Already? No, that was an editing mix-up. But my taxes are still paid, right? My federal taxes, my property taxes, individual income taxes? Por supuesto. That's, of course, for the polyglot challenged among us.
In Spanish.
Thanks for that bit of help as always, Fred. Today, we're going to explore the three-sided taxation toothpick. That should be interesting. Care to say that slower?
Today, we're going to explore the three-sided taxation toothpick.
Okay, but there was no emotion put into that. It was just a software trick.
True that, John. But do you want to know why I said it?
I should probably have an attorney answer that, so I'll just listen.
I said it to get your attention.
I think you say everything you say to get my attention.
Don't flatter yourself, big boy.
Right, making a note. Do not flatter self.
So, did I?
Did you what?
Did I get your attention?
I'm talking to you, aren't I?
Yes, because the script tells you to do that.
And because I like you a ton. Even more than the IRS. I'll even save my toothpick questions for later.
That is certainly a lot of liking. Any moment we'll be overrun with happy trees.
Like today, the happy day where we are done paying the IRS. The government has all the federal revenues they can possibly ever need this year.
That's right. Our national income is complete. That's Tax Freedom Day.
And when is that?
This year?
Yeah, unless it doesn't change.
Oh, it changes a little every year. You know how future taxes are.
Yeah, but I suppose there will be more about that in the second part.
That's the plan if you stick to it.
Go on.
Go on where?
Answering the question.
Oh, right. It's today, April 18th, this year, this 2022. The very day of the week that your favorite podcast, that's this one, drops.
Wait a second. Taxes were just due last Friday. So how can Tax Freedom Day be so close to the same day that we have to pay?
That's just weird coincidence.
This year.
Yeah, this year.
It's the day that every dollar we earn is ours.
Isn't that all the time?
Well, in reality it is, yes. But human brains often like things this way.
So, we didn't keep anything before today?
Well, of course we did in reality.
You're losing me again.
It's just a mental construct that lets us draw a clean dividing line between giving everything to the proverbial them and keeping everything for us.
I see. So it's just a meme.
Well, of sorts, yes, but without a picture. It's a representation of an idea, so in that sense, yes.
Okay, I have an idea.
What's that?
You give some examples of this.
After what?
After...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us. Please head over to the support link in our written show notes. That's the words on your podcast player. There, you can choose from a $9.99 per month doing level of support, a $4.99 knowing level, or a basic intro level of just 99 cents per month. Great place to start, whichever you choose. Thank you so much for helping us do this for you. And to leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes. You'll go to a site where you can leave a video, audio, or text-only message, depending on how you feel at the moment. You can also send us an audio file attached to an email if you use just more than your phone for stuff. I won't repeat those links because weird. And anyway, show notes. It's all in there, and it's all easy.
That huge bombard-off sack, that stuffed cloak bag of guts, that roasted manning tree ox with pudding in his belly.
Who are you talking about?
He's not talking about anyone, just getting the Henry IV quote out of the way.
Oh, right. So, abracadabra. Let's pick back up with Tax Freedom Day.
Which is today, right? The day where huge economic growth can begin?
Oh, by the way, did I mention? Oh, I guess I did, yeah.
Where did it come from?
It all started back in the year 1948.
a baseball year, right?
Careful, DT. Anyway, there was a business guy down in Florida who thought it would be a great idea if we all had a date by which he would calculate that we'd all earned enough money to pay federal, state, and local taxes.
And all the rest was ours to keep?
Yeah, that was the idea. It's a little oversimple, but a little bit of that is a good thing, as long as it's easy to get.
And that includes federal borrowing, right?
Well, actually, no, it doesn't. Good point, DT. That would add another 20 or 25 days and push it well into May.
So it's just a happy accident that it's today.
Well, yeah, DT. It's usually somewhere around this time, now that we have real taxes.
What do you mean by that?
Pardon, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
Oh, do slow down then. You don't want to be one that would be a bawd in the way of good service, do you?
Ooh, Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare.
You said that a few episodes back, Fred. And that's why we're finishing them off soon.
Slowing, you started to say?
Right, so this guy, this Dallas Hostetler, makes a go of this thing and even trademarks the name Tax Freedom Day.
And he still owns it?
No, he retired and donated everything to something called the Tax Foundation. I'll do a Wikipedia link in the show notes about that whole thing.
So, what's the real tax thing you mentioned?
Well, the Tax Foundation, calculated backwards with some kind of federal income tax calculator to see what the day would have been under previous tax laws.
Uh-huh.
And back before World War I, we didn't pay so much. So Tax Freedom Day was as early as January 19th.
But in the year 2000?
Well, that was the worst, but not by a lot. That year was May 1st, less than 2 weeks from now.
Bad, bad, bad.
Not like August.
August?
Well, yeah. In Austria and Belgium, it's frequently that late.
But please speak to your accountant regarding your situation.
Right, Sam, thanks. I'd probably move to one of those places if I didn't ask first.
Hey, John.
Yes, DT?
Point us, if you would, please, to a really lame text-only countdown clock for this great day.
Oh, you mean the one at HTTP other link stuff that's in the show notes?
Yeah, that one. That's in the show notes as well, right?
Well, that's what I just said. But by the time people hear this, that clock might not work anymore.
Or it might try to give us a negative number.
Or something like that. But there's the link in the show notes. The average person will do with it what they will.
Hardworking people? Influential people?
Both. More. American people, Belgian workers, everybody.
I just hope they don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, well, if they do, it will be divisive.
And obvious.
And we'll tie the whole thing into investing.
You mean you will do that?
Yes, I will do that. In a flash. In the blink of an eye.
But first, break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es buenísimo. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too.
And so we celebrate the freedom that surrounds us all. The freedom that is simply inherent in the very concept of Tax Freedom Day.
Be careful what you wish for, DT.
What do you mean, John?
Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clemens.
What? Is this some vague literary reference?
Well, it's a reference, to be sure. Vague, I would disagree with.
Oh, so I should know it?
Well, not only should you know it, but you actually do also know it.
And this is leading up to another great tie-in?
It is, my dear DT.
Give me a hint.
I would if I had a clue myself. Can't give you one.
If you don't have one, right.
I can tell you, though, where I read it.
Good start.
It's The Great Story by George Orwell, 1984.
Written in 1948.
Yeah, the baseball year, as you said earlier.
And the oranges thing?
Oh, that's a poem, a children's story. Actually, a children's game. It appears a few times in that story.
Link?
Por supuesto again, in the show notes.
So the tie?
Is that thinking too much about a milestone like this,
Like what?
like Tax Freedom Day or Valentine's Day or Labor Day,
Or any other annual thing?
right, can distract us from investing by encouraging us to think about the economic costs instead of real everyday life.
Oh, that never happens.
It's happening right now, DT.
Do tell.
Well, there's no shortage of stories about people bailing on investments because of the Russia-Ukraine thing.
Yeah, the market's been going down.
And that always happens, every time. And that's how the winners win, by watching for stuff like that.
Didn't you make a little bit off the 2008 housing crash?
Well, through patience I did, yes, but not by being a jerk.
Or even wanting to be a jerk, I hope.
Correct, I was patient.
But would you repeat it?
I would, and so would you, and so should others, but only to have more with which to express the good of infinite intelligence.
And patience?
Yes, and patience.
And do we hear from Napoleon Hill again on repetition?
Yeah, that's good.
And then repetition is a marvelous thing, too. The conscious mind finally gets tired of hearing you say a thing over and over and over. It's all right if you're bound to repeat that. I can't stand here and watch you forever. Go on in there and take it into sub and see what you do with it. That's the way it works.
The way it works has got to be a good indicator of what to do.
Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
A la prochaine. This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Fact Checker, Abraham Lincoln, French Consultant, Virginia Mitchell, Media Expert, Favor, Abassi E.K., Psychologist, William James, Rabbit Hole Advisor, Dr. Mark Perrott, Sound Designer, Goodly Amo, Marconi, Spanish Consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy, Videographer, Alfred Hitchcock, Audio Props, Les Paul, Inspiration, Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts and get ebooks and other great stuff. You can send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course, you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to actually get links and stuff. And those clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices you hear in our work come from the online tone generator, linked in the show notes.
Finally, you can find us on Podmatch and Listen Notes, where we consider guests as well as consider guesting on other people's pods.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Bensound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams. The sound effects credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Just Kidding, Canusi G, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds and ERH, all on freesound.org.